So today we want to talk briefly about the Order of Melchizedek. Melchizedek order. Wow. Many of us may be familiar with the Order of Melchizedek through the Holy Bible and what book? I can't recall the book, but if you look up the scripture where it says that thou art a priest forever through the Order of Melchizedek, and you look up how Abraham met an ancient king, and this king was very mysterious and no one knew where this king came from. No one knew anything about him, but he gave that particular king gave Abraham certain knowledge and certain information that he took down and spread to the nations that came after him. So when we talk about the Order of Melchizedek, we talk about something that we know is very important. We know it's very sacred. Even if you read the Old Testament or the scriptures, we know it's very important and very sacred. But many of us don't know too much information about the Order of Melchizedek. But the Order of Melchizedek is very, 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 very important and very vital, especially for the times we're living in right now, where it's actually a improvement and an upgrade and there is a bringing down of light energy into the physical form that is necessary to propel humanity to the next level of its being. So we give thanks and praise for life. First of all, here at the Moon Healing, we're all about the evolution of self, the evolution of each of us as individuals, and what are our roles in this particular time in history. This is a very, very pivotal time in our history, and we chose to be here for whatever reason. And it's for each individual to understand their reason and their purpose for being here, right now, in this particular time. We chose to be here. So this is what we're here to do. And when we start talking about the Melchizedek order now, we're talking about, wow, I don't even know where to start. The Melchizedek order is a angelic team. The Melchizedek order assists planets throughout the galaxy, not just assisting us here on Earth, but they assist numerous of planets throughout the galaxy in their evolution of consciousness, because no matter how primitive a planet may be, all planets have to go through their consciousness shifts. So let's say a planet is very young, and the species on that planet is very young in its evolution process. So let's say a planet is like in the caveman days, right? That's relatively normal, because even planetary consciousness, when we talk about the consciousness of a planet, it starts off at like a baby form, and the planets go through their growth and development stages, just like we as people do, just like animals do, just like plants do. Everything follows that same blueprint of starting off as a childlike state and evolving into the higher state. And when I say childlike, I don't mean to downmine the childlike essence, because that's very important for one to reach the higher stages, but we can go into that later. But what I'm saying is that even planets go through their consciousness growth and development. And what the Melchizedek order task themselves with is the task of aiding planets in their conscious evolution. So the Melchizedek order, wow, has been here assisting planet Earth since early times. And we never really hear about the Melchizedek order too much because they're not of this earth, for one. They're not of this earth. But they do send messengers, and they do send beings here on earth at particular times to communicate to the earth beings, right? Like, let's say, for instance, the Melchizedek order speak a particular language that we can't understand. But there's oftentimes a translator, a team of translators a lot of times, that can understand what this order is saying. And now they become the ones to teach and educate this information that is going to uplift the consciousness of these people that is being brought to. So we know of we do know of a very important player in this Melchizedek consciousness that came down within the past 2,000 years. And we know him as Jesus of Nazareth. And Jesus was a huge player in the bringing down of the Melchizedek consciousness. Jesus was a huge player in this, in that the Melchizedek order was in direct communication to Yeshua, Jesus, when he was in the physical incarnation. And not just Jesus, but also the Essene energetic system. Now we got to go into the Essenes and what they were about, because the Essenes were not just a community that just lived up in the hills away from Jerusalem. The Essenes was a whole network of people and energies that all circulated together to bring forth this divine energy. It was like a grid, like a computer chip that had circuits and places to put the energy. And Jesus was the main pillar in this circuitry of energy. So this is when we start going into the metaphysics of Jesus and the metaphysics of what he was doing here in the physical realm. And his message was simply about love, right? Simply about love. But prior to that, the Melchizedek order was active even before Yeshua. They were active during the Egyptian times, giving certain knowledge to the mystery schools in Egypt. They were active in the Atlantean times, very active in the Atlantean times. And the Atlanteans actually played a role in Yeshua coming forward 2,000 years later. So it's a whole timeline, it's a whole history that goes back before just Africa, that goes back before just Egypt. It goes back, like the history of this planet goes back. And so many of this history, I'll tell you one thing here, is why we don't know about a lot of this. This is because, for one, just on a base level, the powers that be don't necessarily want certain information out. If you don't understand that, go look up the Council of Nicaea, 2,000 years ago that happened. But even if we don't even talk about the Council of Nicaea, let's say we just simply talk about how we once existed at a state of consciousness on this planet Earth where we didn't need to write things down. A lot of things we know today is because we read them in a book. The Quran, the Bible, the Bhagavad Gita, a lot of those ancient texts, all the major religions have a book, right? These books came later because prior to the books, we didn't need any books. The information and the knowledge was just known. You just knew it. The information and the knowledge was in the plants. It was in the soil. It was in the rivers. It's still in the plants. It's still in the soil. It's still in the rivers. That's why it's so important to get back to nature. But the thing is, we no longer live on that level of consciousness that we can just go outside and know. Some of us are getting there. Some of us do live in that realm where we can just go out to nature and information just comes to us. But I'm talking about on a mass planetary scale, on a mass consciousness scale, right? Everyone is not there yet. Humanity is now going through a shift where we're getting back to that state, right? However, initially we were on a plane where information was passed through crystals, it was passed through minerals, it was passed through, waves, telepathic waves. Even scientists are now starting to understand that the brain is a two-way receiver of thoughts and vibrations. So the brain is constantly receiving waves of information coming in and information going out. And it's not just the brain, it's the entire mind, body, spirit complex is a transmitter and a sender of different waves, vibrations, and frequencies. So we once lived on a planet on this, we once lived at a point on this planet where we didn't need to write down scrolls. And we didn't need to write down ancient texts. We didn't need to write down because the information was just there. There was even a type of like planetary Wi-Fi grid, if you will, just for understanding. And these are what all the ancient pyramids and the ancient temples around the world were like, almost like cell phone towers of the natural grid. This wasn't like artificially made. This was the natural grid of the planet. A lot of our technologies and stuff now are mimicking the ancient technology, right? And I'm gonna bring this back to the Melchizedek order, but this everything comes back full circle when you understand these core principles that the energetic system that was existing at one time, that's where the information was passed through. So as a whole planet, right now we're very divided as a planet. However, we're getting to a place where we're becoming whole again, right? But the whole system at that time was all connected. So it was just information everywhere. There was no need to write things down. Now, I can go into more detail into this later, but as certain societies and certain systems started to fall, we began to fall in our consciousness. And because of this, we were no longer able to draw information and wisdom and knowledge from this space that we were once getting it from. So now you had teachers like Tehuti or Thoth that came and had to write down scriptures and scrolls and things for us to take this knowledge that we know and that we knew and know and put it on scribes now. And you had Abraham had to go to the mount and get the scripture written in stone and tablet so people can read it and see it, right? So we went through these phases, and that's why a lot of this older information we don't really know, because we're not going to find it in a lot of books. And if you do find it in a book, it's probably going to be a rare book. And if there is a rare book, a lot of the books were burned and a lot of the libraries were burned. The Essene community, once Yeshua's mission was complete, the Romans came through and burned and tore up a lot of those ancient scrolls. Now, they did manage to take and rescue and remove some of them because they knew that the Romans were coming. So they did manage to move a lot of the more important books and scrolls away. But the scrolls that remained there were wiped out and gone. Now, they're still discovering some of these scrolls as well, though, because if you look up the Dead Sea Scrolls, these were scrolls from the Essenes that were recently discovered in modern times. So you can never remove all the information, but I say all of that to say you know, we did have to start writing things down. And if you do find these writings, it's rare, right? So this is why a lot of this information that I plan to bring forward, and I am bringing forward, and it's going to come out not just from me. I'm just only one space that the information is going to come from. But as you watching this video, you continue to resonate and seek this knowledge and seek this information to see where you fit in this grand scheme of things, you will start getting the information from anywhere. It can come from being out in nature. It can come from listening to a song that you just heard. It can come from seeing certain colors and certain shapes. The Melchizedek order and the angelic hosts have a way of communicating to us in a way that is unique for us as individuals. Our DNA codes will start to unlock a little bit, and you will begin to start tapping in more into your divinity, into your greatness. You will start tapping into more into your dormant abilities, more into things that you can do, more into things that you can see, more into communication that you can start having with not only yourself, your inner self, but your angelic body and your angelic angels that are always walking with you at all times, ready to assist you at a moment's notice. This is the time that we're living in right now, where we as individuals and people and beings on this planet must start to evolve to our higher self, because this is not our final form right here. This is not our final form. We're just getting warmed up, and we chose to be here at this particular time, at this particular moment. So this is the little bit I'm going to give on the Melchizedek order today. Ancient order. They are like a galactic team of angelic beings, if we will, that are not from this planet, but that go to planets to sit with them and be with them in their evolution. And they send different teachers down to help with the evolution of that particular planet. They've always been here. They're always going to be here. And they love us dearly. The Melchizedek is a fire order, blazing order. The Order of Melchizedek. You hear Von Benjamin talk about, you know, Black Ayanaya Melchizedek I. You know, the Melchizedek order is real. So this is the most sacred and ancient order on this planet. And Rastafari talk about it. You know, the Hebrew culture talk about it. The Christianity culture talk about it, you know, subtly. All religions talk about it, truly, because we're all one. The Melchizedek order, they speak to whatever people, whatever language they speak in that region. So the Melchizedek order don't say like, you know, okay, we speak this language, you guys have to learn this Melchizedek language. No, they speak to wherever you are, whatever language you speak, they send the information through that channel. They're limitless, right? So I plan to bring more information on this, but until then, we give thanks and praise for life. I'm gonna hold my meditation now, and if you get a chance today, go outside, sit by a tree, hold a meditation. Mine will only be for 20 minutes, you know, but hold a meditation and sit and be still and just listen and send out a frequency and send out a mantra in your mind, or you can say it out loud that says, I am light, I am spirit. I am light, I am spirit. This is a meditation that was given to me through the Archangel Alariel, right? I am light, I am spirit. And send that out, put that out to the universe. And this is one way that you can resonate and let everyone know that you are ready to receive. So we give thanks and praise for life. If you have any questions about anything that I said here, please feel free to drop a comment or reach out to me any way that you see fit. But we give thanks and praise, and keep trotting this liberty because it's powerful. Keep living this lifestyle because it's powerful. And keep taking care of yourself because you are powerful. Blessed love. Sila.
A mysterious figure who reminds us of that promised royal priest.
And who is this?
Well, Abraham is returning victorious from a risky battle, and he passes by the city of Shalem, and this king comes out to meet him. And we're told that this king is also a priest who serves the same God that Abraham does.
Ah, yes, Melchizedek. This man's a mystery. We don't know why he worships Abraham's God. We don't even know his family lineage.
Exactly. But here's what happens. Melchizedek brings this great feast out to Abraham and his army, and then he gives God's blessing to Abraham, saying God is the one who gave him this victory over his enemies. Then Abraham gives Melchizedek 1/10 of everything that he has, and that's the story.